our viewing audience. What a great Toastmasters meeting we have for today. The mission of a Toastmasters Club is to provide a mutually supportive and positive learning environment in which every member has the opportunity to develop communication and leadership skills, which in turn fosters self-confidence and personal growth. I'd like to call this meeting of TB Toastmasters Club 9253 to order. We have one business item. We've been asked to host the Area 57 speech contest on Monday, March the 1st. Do we accept the invitation?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, great. Okay. We do have a few little tips. Our educational session this morning is Sheila Mudbaker will present us with some tips if you ever find yourself in a filming situation. She will give us some little things, little hints to watch for. So let us welcome Sheila Mudbaker. Sheila.
Thank you. Now, fellow Toastmasters and all of you in the viewing audience, most of us, even those of us here in TV Toastmasters, are not used to being on camera. Now, the reason why we're here is because we're learning to be much more comfortable with the camera. If you think that you may ever be in front of a camera, or if you think you never will be in front of a camera, it'll still happen. It will happen. You will witness something, a car accident or some event. You will be asked your opinion on the street by a roving reporter. You will want to be out on Fountain Square, seen in the crowd, and someone will ask you a question. You'll be in front of a camera, and you need to know a few things. One of them is the camera is who you're talking to, because the camera is the audience. So pay attention to the camera rather than the person sitting over here. If I talk to Joe is sitting right here, I'm missing the whole rest of my audience. So if I have to talk to a reporter who's over here, I cheat slightly. I move my body towards him and aim my face out so that the camera can see me and know that I'm still talking to the other person. I appear to be talking to him, but I'm really talking straight to the camera. Another thing, microphones, and this happens all the time in meetings. It happens at your church, if you're at a school or a program, or if you're in a cable studio like this, or you're asked to talk about something, there's a microphone. Well, unless someone hooks you up to a microphone that's right here, there's a good chance no one's going to hear you if you turn away from the microphone. For example, if I talk over here, you don't hear me as well as if I talk right here. If I aim my voice towards the microphone, make sure that I'm not out of range, I can be heard properly. Another thing, as you can see right here, I am in front of a lectern. When I am at the lectern and there's only one camera, and the camera person is trying to aim directly for me, if I walk away from the lectern, I disappear. I don't want to put the camera person into a slight panic by moving out of the picture. So make sure that you alert the camera person what you're going to do if you're going to start moving away or walking around. In a regular studio, if you're asked to be a guest at a studio, you will have someone tell you what to do. Please get up, walk across the room, do this. But if you're just in front of a camera, and it can be in front of your neighbor's camera, it can be in front of a cable camera, it can be in front of a regular TV camera from a national station, no matter what, make sure that you remember the camera's there. The camera is just like another person. You wouldn't walk away from another person while you're still talking to them. And it's another person who only has one set of ears, and that's the microphone. So don't walk away from that one set of ears if you really want those ears to hear you. And that's all I have to say today. We'll have lots more educational tips in the future. Thank you, Ms. Toastmaster.
Wow. Thank you, Sheila. That was great. I'm glad to know that, and we shall try to not have an empty when we change roles up here. that we don't have a blank screen that we're shooting behind us. We'll stay here long enough and cheek towards the camera so that we can see something. There are many roles and responsibilities throughout the meeting, and my role as Toastmaster is to be a cheerful host to introduce the participants and motivate you, the audience, to listen. I will also present a word today to use throughout the meeting, and going along with today's theme of resolutions, the word of the day is resolute. Having a fixed purpose, determined, steadfast, bold, and firm. It's an adjective, R-E-S-O-L-U-T-E, resolute. To use it in a sentence, Carol was very resolute about building new Toastmaster clubs. Resolute. We'll see if we can use that in our vocabulary today. We do have one change on the agenda. We have Topic Master will be Sheila Mudd Baker. Sheila is wearing many hats today, and she will lead us through the table topics, one of my favorite parts of the program. The participants have the opportunity to listen carefully, think quickly, and speak effectively with only a moment's notice about the topic. Let us welcome Sheila Mudd Baker.
Thank you, Ms. Toastmaster. Now, as we said, this is off the top of the head of the person who is being asked the question. Well, this happens in day-to-day conversations. Someone asks you a question and you have to think quickly, what am I going to say? Is this a topic I've even thought about? Well, the topic today is resolutions. So you probably have thought somewhat about resolutions for the new year. We have all made resolutions. I know I have made many resolutions in the past. I've carefully set out all the goals for the year, year after year after year. Sometimes I achieve them, sometimes I don't. What is the worst resolution you have ever made? You made the resolution, you attempted it. What was that resolution and why was it the worst resolution? Ray Boston.
Thank you, Madam Topic Master. I think the worst resolution that I make is, of course, the one that I never keep, which is just about all of them. You can see that I probably like to nibble, and I make a resolution practically every other week because I swear that I'm no longer going to drink all those Pepsis, all those Coca-Colas, and even the healthy things like the fruit juice, which is unfortunately filled with sugar. Naturally, I make a resolution to swear off the potato chips because they're the second worst offender. I steadfastly say that I'm going to be resolute about making these resolutions, but you can see that I am wildly unsuccessful. Madam Topic Master.
Thank you. Thank you, Ray. What resolution would you like the President of the United States to make for 2004? Joe Schwerling.
Madam Tabletopics Master, Mr. President, what I would like you to do is to be able to well, of course, what comes to mind is everybody needs more money and more time these days. Unfortunately, that also applies to the federal government and its federal budget. So if the federal government could, through tax reductions, rebates, refunds, provide more money to taxpayers, it increases our federal budget, which increases the national debt, which increases the burden on all our children to come. So the what we need to, or as incentive or motivation for all of us to both be wise and thrifty in our purchases and expenditures for ourselves and the federal government and its expenditures. As with Toastmasters, make use of the communication to resolve conflicts and disagreements so that business and various countries can all exist in peace and everyone profit through the new year. Tabletopics.
You know, that is the first time I had someone who didn't instantly have a resolution for the President of the United States. It seems like every American has ideas that if the President would just do this or they would just do that. We always have ideas about how we can run the country better. It is good to know that Joe has really thought through. In case you didn't know, Joe Schwerling used to work for the federal government, and he's very aware of money related to the federal government. So he really looked at that question in all ways and realized that no matter what simple resolution the president might make, it may not have the answer, the result from that resolution that one would immediately think. Here's a slightly simpler resolution question. What resolution would you make about traveling in the year 2004? Carol Kormelink.
Thank you, Madam Topic Master, fellow Toastmasters, and our viewing audience. What resolution I am going to make about traveling, I am going to travel to my health resort as soon as I have a couple weeks available. I have things that are booked. I'm I can't do it over my husband's birthday because I'm doing a speech before the day before, and I have to try to do it over my birthday. But I will absolutely not only make a resolution, but I will fulfill traveling to the health resort in Hallandale, Florida at the Regency House Health Resort. Get my yearly shot. Ray, at the health resort, you lose weight without even trying because they only feed you good foods, healthy foods. They give you exercise. You walk the beach. You do a morning walk every morning for 2-3 miles before you have breakfast. You have a healthy, fresh fruit breakfast. Then you have exercises, health lectures. So it's a great place to go to get yourself in shape. And I attribute my health to my 2 to 3 visits a year to the health resort. So that is my resolution that I will keep. Madam Tabletopics Master.
Thank you. Actually, one of the resolutions nearly every American seems to make is related to health. So let me suggest that you consider Spark Cincinnati, which is an organization related to health and fitness. Spark Cincinnati has a goal, a resolution for all Cincinnatians to make Cincinnati the greatest city with the greatest people in the United States. For 2004, health and fitness is the mission. For 2005 is health and fitness and leadership. And 2006 it's health and fitness, leadership, and community service. And the idea is if we become healthier people, we become happier people. If we are happier people, we're more likely to take leadership. And if we are happier leaders, we will be more likely to give service to our community, which generally makes our community happier and better. So, Spark Cincinnati, and it's just look in the internet and Spark Cincinnati, or you can look in under Spark People in the phone book. And the reason why I'm saying this is their resolution is during 2004, Cincinnatians altogether will have 10 million hours of exercise during 2004. So here's a chance to make a commitment online, get some free gifts, become healthy, and have a great time. And I know that's a resolution I've made. I've already registered myself for 2004. I don't have to do 10 million hours myself because there aren't 10 million hours in the year 2004. But if I do an hour a day, simple walking, and that includes all the walking I do during the day, walking from the car to the office, walking in the grocery store, taking a walk down to the store instead of driving, or learning to swim. I have never learned to swim, so this would be a great time. And occasionally thinking about something more exotic, like climbing the stairs instead of taking the elevator. Just small things. What small things can you do during the year? If you make a resolution that you can achieve, you probably can achieve it. Not only do you need to make it, you need to write it down and tell 3 people who are likely to never leave you alone. So if you make it a small one that you know, all I need is 10,000 steps a day, which is not very much once you think about it, or all I need is 1 hour in 10-minute increments during the day, you will be healthier and happier. And what a better resolution, one can hardly think. Ms. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. And now for our next speaker, Stanley Glitchner.
Speaking in public doesn't have to be a death sentence. At Toastmasters, we can help you overcome your fears.
Our first speaker this morning, Ray Boston, is going to speak with you concerning a recent event in Cincinnati that has touched all of us in one way or another. Ray was a charter member of the Oakwood Toastmasters in Alexandria, Virginia. He is also a charter member of this advanced club, plus he belongs to Toast of the Town Toastmasters in Kenwood. Ray will be speaking from Project 4 in the Basic Communication and Leadership Manual, Show What You Mean. The objectives are to learn the value of gestures and body movements as parts of a speech, to explore the different ways of using body language, and to develop a sense of timing and natural, smooth body movement. In the next 5 to 7 minutes, Ray will share Dreams Deferred in Cincinnati. Please join me in welcoming Ray Boston and Dreams Deferred in Cincinnati.
Thank you. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun, or fester like a sore, then run? Does it stink to high heaven like a rotten meat, or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load, or does it explode? I was recently reminded of those words by famous American poet Langston Hughes, when once again the city of Cincinnati took a powerful body blow of negative publicity. An incident between several Cincinnati police officers and one of our citizens had gone awry. What started out as a simple medical emergency call had spun terribly out of control, resulting in the death of one of our neighbors. And I say neighbors advisedly, because isn't that what we should all be towards each other? Neighbors. But the situation when Nathaniel, I don't believe the Bible simply meant that singular family next door when it instructed us to love thy neighbor, the basic essence of the golden rule. Seems so simple. But the situation when Nathaniel Jones met his untimely death also seems simple. The late night 911 call sounded like so many countless others. A gentleman had fallen down in the neighborhood parking lot of the White Castle, and he needed medical assistance. A unit from the fire department arrived on the scene, but somehow they began treating someone else before they took care of Skip, as Nathaniel was referred to by his friends. When they finally got around to taking a look at him, they observed that he was standing off by himself over in the corner of the parking lot, staring upwards and dancing about. For some reason, they decided to call the police department rather than take care of the situation themselves. And sadly to say, the situation quickly deteriorated and slid downhill after that. Now, I bet even money that all of the officers that were involved, as well as Nathaniel himself, had many times over affirmed their sincere belief in the basic tenets of the Golden Rule. But suddenly there was a spark, and all traces of neighborly kindness vanished in the frigid blackness of the midnight air. We may never know whether Nathaniel was provoked or not, but the video showed us over and over the wild, lumbering, apparently menacing charge towards one of the officers. Later, it was reported that one of our high-ranking officials called Skip's plus-size body a lethal weapon. On the other hand, Skip's friends and loved ones described him as a lovable, huggable teddy bear. It's amazing how widely two views of the same thing can somehow diverge in opposite directions. That notwithstanding, we all know what happened next. The nightmarish images from the stark black and white police video seared their way into our consciousness. Imagine the physical, brutal suffering that Skip received as the deadly PR-24 nightsticks rained down time after time after time after. And then the media provided us with the enhanced audio portion. And beyond the sickening thud, surprisingly, we heard neither yells or anguished screams, but rather the plaintive plea of Skip. Mama! Again, the heartfelt words of Langston Hughes. Well, son, I'll tell you, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. It's had tacks in it and splinters and boards torn up. Places with no carpets on the floor, bare. But all the time I've been a-climbing and reaching landings and sometimes going in the dark where there ain't been no light. So boy, don't you sit down on them steps. Don't you stop now because you find this kind of hard. Because I'm still going, honey. I'm still climbing. And life for me ain't been no crystal stair. I think we should all keep that in mind. Because we all need to make a resolution. We all need to be resolute. We need to heed Langston Hughes' words when he inspires us to have additional compassion, respect, and dignity towards each other. Because there haven't been very many crystal stairs in Cincinnati of late, and Nathaniel's climb through life has been somewhat cut short. So, Cincinnati, I want to say that I do believe that it's time for all of us to learn to live together. It's time for us to truly learn to live the Golden Rule. Cincinnati, it's time for us to be neighbors. Madam Toastmaster.
All the education in the world won't help you get ahead in life if you can't express your ideas effectively. Every day, competition for advancement gets tougher and tougher. You need an edge. A Toastmasters club can give you that edge. A low-cost learning experience for men and women. Toastmasters gives you the confidence to express your ideas to anyone. Get the Toastmasters edge.
Our next speaker, Nellye Bowen, is a competent Toastmaster and a competent leader. And she will be sharing a story she wrote about the little brown donkey. Nellye Bowen.
Madam Toastmaster, I had always wanted to be able to write a story about the little brown donkey who carried Mary to Bethlehem. I love animals, and I wanted to write it from the perspective of the little donkey. And this is my story. The little brown donkey was thirsty, tired, and hungry. His back ached from carrying his precious burden all day. Twilight was starting to fall. Another hill, the last one, loomed ahead. He started plodding up, ever aware of the enormity of his task. The woman on his back shifted slightly to ease the pain in her back. So tonight was the night. She had thought all day it might be. Her husband, Joseph, gave her an inquiring look, and she smiled at him. How good and kind he was. His rough carpenter's hand reached over and squeezed her small, delicate one. Yes, it was all right. It would be many hours before her child was born. She could see Bethlehem in the distance. How glad she was that her child, God's son, would be born on the trail. The little brown donkey reached the crest of the hill and started down. The rest of the way would be easier. Finally, he reached the outskirts of the town. The noise that he heard from far away was deafening now. People, more people than he had ever seen in his life, all seemed to be talking at once. Donkeys, lots of donkeys, were braying, sheep baaing, cattle mooing, chickens clucking. What a cacophony. Leading him down the narrow streets, Joseph finally stopped in front of a plain, nondescript building, handed the reins to Mary, and went inside. The donkey could hear loud, angry voices before Joseph stomped outside. The donkey had never seen him like this before. His face was red with fury. Turning to Mary, he said, "There is no room for us. I told the innkeeper you were with child and would be having the baby tonight. But with all the people here for the census, every room is taken. People are even renting floor space in their homes for travelers to sleep." His voice was gentler now. "There is a place for us, Mary, but I'm ashamed to tell you about it. The innkeeper has told us we can stay in the stable. At least it will be warm, away from the chill of the night. You'll have privacy, and your precious little brown donkey can keep you company." Mary saw tears in Joseph's eyes as he said this. What a loving husband God had given her. "It's all right, Joseph. You'll be with me." The stable was in a cave. It was warmer and much quieter than the streets, with only a cow, donkey, and goat munching hay, and doves cooing in the eaves. Joseph made a soft bed of straw for Mary, and she lay down upon it gratefully. Her pain was more intense now and coming at regular intervals. The little donkey went to a nearby stream to drink, then ate the hay and grain that Joseph had poured into a manger. He knew Mary was in pain and went over to stand beside her. How he wished he could help her. Joseph offered her a meager meal of bread and wine from the donkey's saddlebags. But Mary shook her head. Hours passed, and the animals in the stable quieted down. They too knew the momentous event that was about to take place, and they stood in awe and reverence. The time of birth was fast approaching now, and Mary was crying out in pain. Joseph held her in his arms and talked soothingly to her. The little donkey came closer, nudged her with his soft muzzle, then lay beside her, his body making a pillow for her head. Suddenly Mary cried out, "It's time, Joseph. The baby's coming." "You must push now, Mary. Help the baby. He's trying to come, but you must help him." Joseph had helped deliver lambs, calves, and donkeys, but this was his first time to deliver a human infant. The baby crowned, and Joseph helped with the rest of the delivery. He took the infant from her, washed him with water from the stream, and wrapped him in swaddling clothes they had brought with them. He handed the baby to Mary, and she kissed the top of his tiny head. In the countryside, far from Bethlehem, a miraculous scene was unfolding. Just at the moment when Jesus was born, the whole heavens seemed to burst open. Angels, hundreds of angels, perhaps thousands of angels, were singing, "Peace on earth, goodwill to men." Shepherds, tending their flocks in the fields, fell to their knees in fear. What was taking place? An angel spoke to them. "Fear not, for I bring good news of great joy for all people. A Savior, Christ the Lord, is born in Bethlehem. You will find the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes and lying in a manger." When the angels were gone back into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, "Let us go to Bethlehem and see this Savior we have waited for so long." Dogs would guard their sheep, but somehow the shepherds knew there would be no danger. No animal would hurt another on this holy night. Far, far away, 3 magi were following the great star that stood above the humble stable. Mary was asleep now. Joseph gently took the infant from her arms and laid him in the manger, the same one the brown donkey had eaten from. Joseph had filled it with straw and covered it with a soft cloth. Jesus was resting peacefully. The little donkey was sleeping close beside Mary, keeping her warm and giving her all the love in his heart. He had carried her safely to Bethlehem, and God was pleased with him. Doves were cooing again, and Joseph was so tired. Finally, he too lay down beside Mary and dropped off to sleep. The shepherds wouldn't be there until morning. All was peaceful and quiet. In the misty distance of the years ahead, a cruel cross awaited, but not now. Now was all peace and quiet. The most wonderful event of all time had taken place at this crude stable, and it would become a shrine for all generations. Jesus, the Son of God, the tiny infant sleeping in the manger, would change lives and human history forever. Over 2,000 years have passed, and now I am proud and deeply humbled to call him my Lord and Savior. I too kept to this humble stable in my heart and praise God for this miraculous event so long ago.
What future do you envision for yourself? What dreams do you have? If you want your dreams to come true, you must have confidence in yourself and your abilities. A Toastmasters Club can help you build that confidence. A low-cost learning experience for men and women. Toastmasters shows you how to express yourself clearly and effectively. Make your dreams a reality. Join a Toastmasters Club.
We will now have the educational portion of our meeting where we have the evaluation of what the speech that Ray did, so that if he were to do this again, some things that he might look at and what he did well, what he might do better. Joe Schwerling is Ray's evaluator, and he will come up and give us a several-minute wrap-up on Ray's speech. Let's welcome Joe Schwerling.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, audience, and Ray in particular. A very sincere and motivational speech. Dreams deferred in Cincinnati. Obviously, it's a very timely topic, and I think you brought a lot of good insight, and with the purpose of this project being Show What You Mean, the use of gestures and body language and facial expressions to add impact to your message. I think you did it very well, especially in your opening, those quotations, the specific gestures you were using on each phrase of that very well-chosen and delivered quotation. In fact, the only real suggestion I might have is if you could have done similar type gestures both when you had the quotation in the middle of the speech where you're introduced to the second quotation, And then at the end, where you're directing all Cincinnatians to all be neighbors, you know, that would have been a place to really point your finger, because you're soliciting action and concurrence from the audience and from all Cincinnatians about your message. And but you had excellent, very descriptive vocabulary. You even worked in the word of the day resolution. Obviously, you had a lot of preparation and practice that went into this, and I think you did an excellent job. So thank you very much, Ray, and look forward to, and hope we can all adopt the suggestions in your message today. Thank you, Ray.
You may stay there and do our timer report. Do you have to grab it from back there? You have it.
I have the timing information right here. As timer for today, I was keeping a record of the length of time of each portion of the meeting. We have certain parameters that we generally follow. Table topics are typically 1 to 2 minutes, so we signal with a green card or light at 1 minute, a yellow at 1.5, and a red at 2. On the table topics, Ray was a little bit under the minimum time. We went 40 seconds. Mine was 2 minutes and 10 seconds, and Carol was 1 minute and 11 seconds. So they were right in the 1 to 2 minute range. On the speeches, Ray's presentation was to be 5 to 7 minutes, as presumably was Nellye's. Ray was 5 minutes and 33 seconds, and Nellye's was 8 minutes and 21 seconds. My evaluation, I assume, was in the approximately 2 minute range, since I left my timing stopwatch at my position, even though I had started when I began. And that concludes the timing portion. We try to stay on time with each individual phase as well as the entire meeting, so that we all learn to adopt those same habits in our own lives, personal and business situations. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Joe, for that very thorough report. I know it's kind of disheartening when you go to a meeting and it's supposed to be over at a certain time and it goes on and on and on, but ours is ending. We do have, each of us were to be and to observe the grammar for today, and I thank you, Ray, for using resolute. That's a difficult word to use. It's easier to use resolution than it is to use resolute, so I'm glad you picked up on that. Did anyone else notice anything in grammar, good, bad?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Thank you for being here today and taking the time. I would like to thank our director, Rick Davis, and Nellye Bowen for running the camera today. And I'd like to thank you for your gift of time in being here today and making this a delightful meeting. I wouldn't have missed your speech for anything, Ray. Does anyone have any comments to make?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
At least not be done.
Thank you. And hearing no other comments, this meeting of TV Toastmasters is adjourned.